Expired film. It's a word that some film shooters get excited over and will happily pay over the odds for a 30-year-old film that they have no idea on how or where it's been stored over the years, or even if it will produce a nice final image. Well, I guess it's down to unpredictability of not knowing what you're gonna get, a bit like Forrest Gump and his chocolates. So I have shot a few expired films over the past that have been on the channel with some pleasant results and other times not so pleasant. You take your chances with expired film. The rule of thumb is to overexpose by 1 stop per decade age. Others say just shoot it normally and see what you get. I have 2 rolls of KODAK TMAX 100 that both expired in 2011. That's 9 years ago, so this film is probably 12 or 13 years old. But what do I do with it? Do I take both rolls out on location and spend hours composing scenes only to get back and see thin negatives, or even worse, a heavy fogged base where it's sat in a warm shed for 10 years? Or do I try one out first? In this case, I'm lucky that I've got 2 rolls of the same batch, so the chances are that they have both been cuddled up together over time. All I need to do is test one now and shoot the other one another time with the experience from the first one. So I've decided to take photographs of this apple with the first roll as a test. I'm going to meter the scene, shoot at that reading, and then shoot 1, 2 and 3 stops over my normal exposure and decide from there how I'm going to shoot the other roll. So I'm all ready and set up to go for this Wednesday wonder. And I've got my little setup here. You can see I've put the apple there. I've got 2 diffusion Lasterlight things going on there. 2 NEEWER lights. These are just LED panels. I'll put a description of these guys if you want to know what they are in this video, because I get asked all the time. But yeah, these are powered into the main, so the light isn't going to change whatsoever. I've got an apple sitting there on a furniture piece of chair. Oh, it's just a leather chair. Probably not even leather. And my background, I just didn't want that to shine, so I've just put this stuff on the background. This is for putting in the garden to stop weeds coming through. It's relatively cheap, works as a nice backdrop. I'm not a gardener, but I just thought it'd be good for backdrops. That's what I've got it for. So anyway, that's just going to cover the sheen on that back, on the back of the chair there, and I've got a little bit of sheen as a reflection underneath the apple. I don't want to overlight it. Whenever I light stuff, I just like, the same as portraits, I like the light to just naturally kind of wrap around. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. This one's kind of on full power, bursting through this Lasterlight, whatever it is, diffuser, that's the word. And the other one is just on slight power, just slightly lighting the apple the other side. So we've got this nice light wrapping around. It's kind of emulating window light, I suppose. And keeping the diffusers in place is one of my developing tanks on the floor there, and a Mickey Mouse bin on the other side. But we just get any excess dust off that like so. Put the apple back. And in fact, give the apple a little polish. It's important, I want to keep that stalk on the apple. Whoops, nearly dropped it. I need to keep that stalk on the apple. Don't want that coming off. And then afterwards I'm going to wet the apple. I'm going to put some glycerin over the apple and then give it some, put it under the shower to give it some watermarks. And then I'm going to cut it in half as well and take a picture of it that way. So I've got plenty to do with this apple. So I'm just doing some incident readings. I'm just pointing the lumisphere back towards the lens. That's going to be my best option. It's giving me f16 at half a second. So none of that light's going to change. That's rating that film at 100 speed. f16, half a second. So now I'm good to find my first shot. So this is normally metered, f16, half a second. Open the mirror, use the leaf shutter. Shot done. So now we're going to go overexposed by 1 stop to 1 second. So this is a 1 second exposure. And I don't want to go into any reciprocity time, so now I'm going to use the aperture to open the aperture up and overexposed by the next 2 stops. So there's one more stop at f11 now at 1 second. So I'm now at f11, overexposing by 2 stops. Now I'm going to go to f8 and overexpose by 1 more stop. So that's my 3 stops of exposure. So that's 4 shots done. I've done the first one at the meter time, which was half a second at f16. And then I did another one overexposed by 1 stop, which was 1 second, f16. And then I didn't want to use the shutter speed to go into longer exposures. I didn't want to hit any reciprocity failures. So I used the aperture. So I went to f11 and f8 at 1 second. So that gave me my 3 over stops so that gave me my 3 stops over the metered exposure that I first did. So let's take the apple now, stick some oil on it, and we'll throw it in the shower, get some wetness going, some drops, and throw it back on the scene. So the idea of putting this oil on the apple is it will make it look like droplets on the apple, and it will stay there rather than, and it will look wet as well. The light hasn't changed. F16, half a second. Shot number 15. Done. So these are my negatives on the light box. This is the first lot that I took, then the second lot, third, fourth, etc. But this is the negative from the metered scene, which was f16 at half a second, and then I opened up 1 stop, and then another stop, and another stop. So in effect, I've overexposed 1, 2, 3 stops. But I'll tell you what, the metered scene actually looks okay. It looks pretty much what a meter's for. So I'm going to do a contact strip, or contact sheet I should say, and see what we get. And again here you can see these are coming over to this one looks okay, and these just start looking a bit overexposed, but you know, looking at the negatives without making a test print. So the first thing I need to do is just make a contact sheet of these negs and see how they look on print, and then we'll have a look from there. So I'm totally surprised the exposure that I metered for has come out the best. You can see the apple has got nice detail. I can still see my shadow under there. I don't know how it's coming out on the video. It could be blacker than I'm seeing on this contact print. If I skip over to the 1 stop over, the apples are now overexposed, and the background is actually quite nice on this one, but the apple's overexposed. And again, certainly these two are no good. So that was just 1 stop overexposed there. But I'd be happy to go with the normal metered what I shot that film at, which was 100 ISO. It doesn't seem to have changed at all over the years, but obviously I wouldn't know that because I haven't got a KODAK TMAX, a brand new one, to compare it with. But what's the point? I can see my contact print, what I took a photograph of, and what I metered for. I've got more detail inside the apple here, inside the apple where I sliced it, than I have on the others. So I'm pretty happy with the metered exposure when I first took the photograph. So I'm pretty happy with the exposure that I initially metered for at 100 speed, which is what that film is. Let's see if we can blow one of these up and see what they look like. It's very fine grain as well, as you'd expect from that film. This was developed in Ilford's ID11 developer, which is similar to Kodak's D76. Yeah, very fine grain as you'd expect from KODAK TMAX. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I like this is on the side of the apple where the highlight is. That looked alright, so I went for one at 10 seconds. So I did an overall test of 10 seconds just so I can look at the highlight area of the apple. The rest of it's gone too dark, but I'm just interested to see how long it takes to build that highlight area up, and that's 10 seconds. I then went off and did a second test at 7 seconds, and there it is there. Obviously that is now blown out because it's had less time, but the rest of the apple has started to come into play for us. So all I need to do is make a print now. All I need to do now is make a print for 7 seconds, and then just for another 3 seconds just burn this area in here of the apple, the highlight area. So let's do that now, see if that works. And for 3 seconds, I just need to burn that highlight in the apple. I don't know if you can see where I am here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should be good. I went up and down on that, so it was a little bit longer than 3 seconds. That particular part wasn't getting 3 seconds as I was moving the burn hole around the area. So that should be good. Let's have a look. And goes the paper into the developer. And this is all fresh developer. I mixed this up this afternoon, ready for this evening. And this should also do me for tomorrow evening session as well, when I'm in here making some prints for people. That will do me nicely because I'm not going to be making many prints in this tonight. I'll bottle it up and reuse it again tomorrow. So that looks really nice actually. This is the apple with the water droplets on it. I might just have to dodge the bottom area on the next print because I don't like it to be sitting there floating on a black background. I need to have some sort of depth on it, but other than that it looks quite nice. Let's stop and fix and we'll have a butcher's at it. Check out the new SFLaB Beginner's Guide to Film Photography and Darkroom Printing, packed with lots of information, illustrations and exclusive unseen step-by-step videos, all in a simple and easy way to understand. Hit the link in this video's description or visit the SFLaB website for more details. So there's my apple. It looks nice, but I just need to give it some depth. It looks like it's just floating on a black, it looks like it's floating in space. I need to just dodge this area down here and just try and bring some detail or depth back in the bottom here in the shadow. But other than that, for a film that's, what, 9 years expired, that ain't too bad. Ah, that's more like it. Now I can see some definition there. Just, you can see just where I've dodged the bottom for that's only had 3 seconds of light down the bottom there, where the rest of it had 7, and then that area had an extra 3 seconds, which was 10. So just by using that little dodge tool there, stopping the light hitting the bottom of the print, has given that apple a bit of a lift. Before that it was just sitting there in space, you know, but this gives it a little bit more definition to it. So that's good. I'm happy with that one. I'm going to do another one and then I'll show you the prints at the end. So that was really good news. The negatives come out really nice. And like I said, I've shot expired film before and it's always touch and go, you know, whether you're going to get a decent negative at the end of it, and also touch and go knowing how much to overexpose, if you even need to overexpose. In this case, I didn't have to, so I'm quite excited that I've got another roll of that TMAX sent to me by Gary Gees on Instagram. Gary, thanks a lot, mate. And so I've got another roll of that TMAX, and I know that I can shoot this at 100 speed. I don't have to do any compensations on the exposure because the first one came out really nice. And that is the backing paper for that Kodak film from 2011. I don't know if any of you guys, I don't often shoot Kodak TMAX 100, although it is a nice film. I don't often shoot it, so that's what the backing paper looked like in 2000. I can't even bloody show it. I've got arms like a gibbon, look. That's what it looked like in 2011. I don't know if it's changed much since then, but you know, it's neither here nor there. I'm looking forward to shooting this roll. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video on the expired TMAX 100. I'm going to go shoot this at the weekend, and I'll catch you next time.